YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back. And today we're ranking every single NFL offense from 32 to 1 for the 2020 NFL season. We'll do the same thing for defenses as well. Plenty of predictions, rankings on the way leading up to the NFL season, and full coverage in season. Very important about this video. I wouldn't really pay attention to the number next to your team. Obviously, that's important, but I think too many people kind of decide, okay, he's got to rank that in the 20s. That means he thinks they're bad. Not necessarily. A lot of good offenses in the NFL in today's game. So there are actually teams in the 20s there's very little splitting them up, even up to 15 around that range. But I think those are very good offenses. There's just that many good offenses. Another thing, some teams will repeat, but I think too many people expect almost the same as last year. It's not really the case. It's impossible to predict actually who that random team that'll step up or a team that'll fall down. So don't really expect exactly the same rankings as what happened last year. And again, we'll do the same thing for defense. All kinds of videos coming out. 60K, that's our goal by early in the season. Please help us out by subscribing. Predictions with the boys in season. Got score predictions that I do myself, power rankings, many more videos during the year, full coverage. So hopefully you can join us for that. And you see on the screen, we got a Twitter, Instagram, Patreon for bonus content. You can get access to the fantasy with that. We have a podcast as well. So any link that you need for any of those things, down in the description and in the comments of any video there. Let's move on to number 32. I got the Washington football team at 32 here. I believe in Dwayne Haskins. I think too many people write him off because he got thrown into a terrible situation, threw some interceptions, lack of touchdowns through the air, and that's wrong. I think of people, getting thrown in that situation and then not realizing what he did the last few weeks. You can see he started to get better. I think too many people basing it off the stats. He'll continue to improve. There's going to be an adjustment period. He'll still have his struggles here and there. Offensive line took a hit this offseason. Even though I'm not a big Eric Flowers guy, it seems like they actually took a hit there in the interior, and they lost Trent Williams, of course. So some guys will have to step up there, and then the lack of weapons. The running back room looks pretty solid, even though they don't have guys anymore. AP, Bryce Love, Gibson can be involved at the running back position and the receiver position. So Gibson, huge fan. That's a guy I'm looking forward to watching. Bryce Love, I'm excited to watch him. So they actually might have more weapons than most think, but they're still kind of lacking. It's going to be a team that knows their identity is defense. So I'm going to put them at 32, but they could surprise some people here. And then next up at 31, I got the Jets here. Not a big Gase believer, as you guys know. Darnold can continue to improve. I expect him to improve this year. Haven't been super high on Darnold, though, either. I don't expect crazy play from him. I don't really trust Gase with his game plan, with his play calling. They've added some weapons, but they're looking for more receiver weapons here with tryouts and stuff. So I don't know if they're that confident really in their own weapons. Crowder probably leads the way. I like the Denzel Mims pick. I don't expect a whole bunch in this offense right off the bat. There's just nothing that really stands out big time. They're going to have the weeks where we seen it last year towards the stretch of the season where they score some big amount of points. So, they're really not a terrible offense. There's just that many good offenses that I think that are just better than the Jets right now, and I don't fully trust their coach. If they had a different play caller out there, they could actually shoot up these rankings. So maybe it's just that for me. And Darnold needs to show me he can take that next step. I believe he can. He just needs to show me. 30 is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe most people expect them last or second to last. Pretty close here. They actually have some weapons. I like adding Laviska Shenault to DJ Chark, who's very much improving. We saw that last year. Shenault is a big-time playmaker. He's got to stay healthy. Fournette ran pretty well last year, so I think people hate on him a little too much or doubt him a little too much. But I don't know. I don't know if there's enough here. The offensive line's still a little questionable. They have some good pieces, just inconsistent offensive line. And Gardner Minshew, even though he was better than expected last year, quite impressive. I think they rely on the short game too much. How will he be this year? Team's starting to figure him out. I don't know if he's the answer long term. It's not that I really doubt him. I still don't know if he's the answer long term. Number 29 is going to be the Chargers. Kind of weird seeing the Chargers down here, but another team, I don't know if they have enough. They lose Melvin Gordon, even though I was calling for Eckler more last year. They still have Eckler. A couple other running backs that could step up. But how are they running inside the tackles be? That's kind of the question mark there. And then you look at the receiver position. They got two studs, but and I guess you throw in Hunter Henry, the tight end there. Not much after that. They got 3 studs there. Not much after that, but that's okay because those guys can play. Quarterback's kind of the question. I think they'll have a lack of a downfield game. I think it'll be Tyrod Taylor earlier, which would be better than Herbert. I don't know if they'll have too much explosive plays downfield. They'll try to get creative with Eckler outside. In the offensive line, I do worry about, and that's why I don't think Herbert's ready, going from playing with the best offensive line in the country in college football with the Oregon Ducks to this. That's why it scares me a bit, but it's a team I'm back and forth on, really, in general. But with Herbert, you draft a quarterback that high, you got to play him. You can't throw him into a weird situation mid-season, but I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's ready. Chargers have, again, they got a few playmakers. I just don't know if they have enough, maybe at the O-line or the quarterback position here. 28 is going to be the Miami Dolphins. It sounds like they'll actually go at Fitzmagic early, week 1, which is okay. We've seen them get explosive downfield, have some big playability. And their receiver unit, probably underrated. Devontae Parker, Preston Williams is back. So, they can get something going there. Run game, they got Howard and Breida, just nothing spectacular, but it's a pretty good 1-2 punch. And then you got the offensive line, which I expect to be maybe the worst in football, which will hold them back a little bit. But they'll have those big chunk plays. They'll have those weeks where they'll put up a lot of points. The question of who would be better week 1, Fitzpatrick or Tua? It's an interesting debate. I expect it to be Fitzpatrick in there. 27 is going to be the Bears. I actually, making these rankings, rough drafts, I've actually dropped the Bears down quite a bit. Looking into what's going on in training camp recently, it sounds like Mitchell Trubisky will be the starting quarterback week 1, which I strongly disagree with. It's at this point, it's a fact that Nick Foles is better especially in the Bears offense than Mitch Trubisky in my opinion, but I almost think it's factual there. So that worries me. So I dropped the Bears down because of that. I think Nagy wanted to go out and get Foles for a reason. I think he fits his RPO. He wants to run more RPO. He couldn't do it. They tried to do it early last year. Trubisky just can't do it. He can't read the outside linebacker, the ends, in the defense. I don't know if that'll change this year. So it cuts down the playbook. It limits Nagy's wide open, creative playbook. So that's why the Bears dropped down. If they had Foles, they're much higher in this because I think he's much better. I think it's a much better fit. They're able to open the playbook up more. And it's in that the true playbook of Matt Nagy is actually very unpredictable. It's a unique offense. It got predictable. It was not unique at the end of last year. It was pretty much, there was screen passes, just too many screen passes. There wasn't enough, and it really wasn't Nagy's fault. So if Trubisky's the guy, I expect, maybe there's not enough. I don't know if they're going to be crazy in the run game. Montgomery can take the step up. There's a couple, I think they're pretty underrated, actually, the receiver unit, but I just don't know if there's a main thing. Like I said, they can't use the entire playbook. They start to get predictable because of that when they should be a very unpredictable team, but there's not enough explosive plays downfield. There is just not enough, plain and simple. They're trying to rely on the 5-yard pass. So it's still up in the air who starts. They get a boost for me if Nick Foles is the starter for sure, even though if he's in, he could struggle right away because, lack of preparation, but I think it's a good fit. I believe in Foles there. 26 to me, the Bengals. Joe Burrow, big believer in Joe Burrow, even right off the bat here. And they have the weapons. Joe Mixon, they got the receiver unit, a crazy good receiver unit. I think Tyler Boyd's going to be fantastic with Joe Burrow. And that sounds like a much better than 26 offense. The offensive line, one of the worst in football. There'll be some adjustments, so that kind of weighs them down a little bit. But I think what could be a very good explosive offense here, and that comes in at 26. So we see how good the offenses are. 25 is going to be the New York Giants, which the Giants will put up some good yards. They'll put up some good yards. They'll have those big explosive chunk plays for sure. Turnovers is the issue. Daniel Jones, fumbling situation. And I think he'll turn it over through the air a little bit, but they have a pretty solid receiver unit, and they have Saquon Barkley, one of the better backs, could be at any time the best back in football. And Jones, more than impressive last year, better than everyone expected. Just got to take care of the football a little bit. Again, they'll put up some big yards, and I think they can get the ball in the end zone. Yards compared to the points, maybe you would like a little more points. This kind of prediction, and then a little bit based off last year. So that is an interesting thing to look out for. And then turning the ball over, yeah. But 25, I think pretty explosive offense for a number 25 offense. So 24, the Patriots with Cam Newton. Pretty good running back room. Receiver room kind of questionable. Can N'Keal Harris take the step up? Edelman, how will he be without Brady? So some question marks there. The lack of tight end play, perhaps a couple rookies that'll have to step up. But yeah, they'll have their moments where they really struggle to put up points. They'll have those games where they finish with 13, whatever it is, points, 17, and then they'll have those weeks where they're very explosive. Cam Newton, that running back group there. So maybe an inconsistent offense this year. 23, speaking of Cam Newton, Panthers actually at 23, and I think this will be another inconsistent offense. You look at, they bring in Joe Brady, an excellent offensive mind. The good is that, I think it's a great playbook, great play calling, great offensive mind. They have the pieces that fit what his system is, similar to what he ran at LSU, which people remember that he was back with the Saints, and people try to say he got a pro style because he was with the Saints. That's not the case. He didn't call the plays to the Saints. He brought his own philosophy to LSU. That worked out. It's a multiple scheme. It's a multiple offense, which is spread and pro style, basically a mixture of college and NFL. So perfect for today's game, in my opinion. And they have the pieces, but a new system, some adjustments to go through, a new quarterback. I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot. Maybe need more explosive plays downfield from him. Very accurate quarterback, can move a bit too. Adjustment period. It'll happen. There'll be some struggles here and there for the whole thing. They have the pieces. Offensive line, I'm worried about a little bit. It sounds like Russell Okung. I don't think Russell Okung's going to play the full season, maybe not any of it. The interior got much worse, losing Trey Turner there. So I worry about that offensive line quite a bit. Again, great scheme, great playmakers, a lot of new faces, staff, and quarterback. Robbie Anderson as well, changes on the offensive line, so that's kind of a negative, and then the offensive line being a negative, so kind of back and forth. They'll have those weeks where they're great. They'll have those weeks where they really struggle. 22 is going to be the Bills. And yeah, this is where it really starts. I like the Bills, and having them at 22, this is where it's tough because, again, I like the Bills. They had Stephon Diggs. That's big time, exactly what they needed. They'll have those big plays downfield. You could even give Diggs a screen pass. I think they needed a legit number one receiver. That's what they went out and got. Running back room looks pretty good. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. I don't think it'll be anything spectacular. That's kind of the thing here. I don't think they'll do anything mind-blowing, like crazy good. Josh Allen will have his crazy moments. He'll have his negative moments. They're trying to unleash him a bit more because that's his nature. That's his game. They don't want to make him into a game manager, but that'll create some turnovers, some inconsistencies. But I believe in him improving. It's a good offense at 22. It shows how good some of these offenses are. 21, the Denver Broncos, pretty similar to the Bills. I've calmed down on the Broncos a little bit. In terms of offense, I'm pretty hyped about them because I'm a Drew Lock guy. But at the same time, he'll have his moments where he struggles still. There'll be weeks where he's great. There'll be weeks where he's not good at all, really. That's how it will be this year, factoring in the offensive line. No Jawan James, that's rough. I think the offensive line got better in the interior, not by a whole bunch, but it did, and the running game will be good because of that, and because of the talent they have there, Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon. So that's good. But the offensive line worries me a bit. Drew Lock will be inconsistent just because that he has a very limited amount of snaps already. The receiver unit looks lights out. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. So they have the playmakers. They have the playmakers, receiver, running back. Can I fully trust the quarterback right now? And that's kind of a question. Can I trust the offensive line? I don't think I can trust the offensive line right now. So, but good explosive plays will happen. Running game, passing game. So I consider them a good offense, a sneaky good offense. But that's at 21. 20 is going to be the Raiders. Another one, can I fully trust Derek Carr, the quarterback? He has his moments, his flashy moments, and he has his bad moments. Offensive line much improved. We saw that last year. The weapons, I think this offseason improved. Add Henry Ruggs. I like the system, the scheme with Gruden there, of course. Another team, they'll rack up the yards. They'll have those plays, those chunk plays. Maybe they won't be huge chunk plays, but they'll have those plays to get them, steadily inside the red zone. Red zone is kind of the question mark. I think they're gonna. I think what they do is they rely on Josh Jacobs too much in the red zone. Easy for teams to game plan. Maybe adding those extra pieces, guys like Henry Ruggs, and Edwards could open things up, make them a little more unpredictable in the red zone. So red zone a bit. And Derek Carr, can I fully trust him? He has his moments. Maybe that's why they're down at 20, but I view them as a good offense. They'll have those weeks where they'll score maybe 40 points, which is ridiculous. It's just, again, a lot of good offenses in the NFL. 19, the Browns, another tricky one to rank because the playmakers are there. This running game is going to be dominant. They're going to focus on the running backs. And then they'll try to open things up to get the ball to their playmakers there. I believe in Baker. Kind of a question, though. Yeah, can I trust Baker every single week? He'll have his moments still. And kind of a question here. Offensive line's improved, but is it really improved that much? I'm not a big Conklin guy. You guys know that. Run blocking tackle, very solid, very solid. I don't trust this guy in the pass protection, but he still might be better than what they had last year. Jedrick Wills, my number one tackle in the draft, a rookie, has to switch sides, will have his moments where they're not pretty probably, but he'll be fine. Is it really improved that much? Another thing, I think they have the pieces for the Stefanski offense, but he can get very conservative sometimes and not really focus on his playmakers at the receiver position. I think this is what my prediction here. This will be explosive early in the year, this offense. It will be very good. I think it'll start to get predictable, conservative as the year goes on, just based on the system. But they have the players. Just can I fully trust it? And another first-year head coach. That's really never good. It will be good for the long run. So there's kind of playing both sides here with the Browns here. They have the playmakers. We know that. 18, the Rams, another team that has the playmakers. They have the right mind at the coach position, with Sean McVay. I believe in Goff at this point. I was trying to get people back off a little bit when everyone was really praising him. I knew he was solid, but I'm like, all right, people need to slow their roll, and then it just kind of flipped. Now, I think he's better than what people think he is. I think people rip him a little too much. He does need to be better. I think people rip him because he's a system quarterback. I think all these guys are system quarterbacks. The offensive line's the question. They have the playmakers. I actually believe in Goff. Do I believe in Goff when he's under pressure? That's another question. Running back room change, but I like Akers and Henderson. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. They're pretty explosive. Again, they have the receivers. They have the tight ends. Offensive line, it very well could be the worst offensive line in football, and that results in other pieces not looking as good as they actually are. So kind of middle of the pack here. They'll have those weeks where maybe they put up 40 points. And then those weeks when they play a dominant pass rush, which there's a lot of them in today's NFL, that they will really struggle. So it's really on that offensive line right now. It really is. So they come in at 18, which is a good rank, good offense. 17 is the Lions. Another tough one to rank. A lot of these teams are so tough to rank. You look at early last year, we saw a good portion of dominant offense, explosive downfield offense. One of the better ones in football early last year. Pretty crazy. It's such a small portion. Can I trust them to be consistent? Can I trust them to be healthy? Mainly Stafford talking about there. Mainly, down the stretch. Can that keep up? Running back's a question. Kerryon Johnson continues to get hurt. Will he be healthy? They do add DeAndre Swift more involved in the passing game. Love me some Kenny Golladay. Marvin Jones needs to stay healthy. As soon as one person gets hurt in there, a guy like Marvin Jones, it really weakens the receiver unit. And TJ Hawkinson, I think, can be a top-tier tight end. He's that talented. Can he stay healthy? Health really wasn't a question until last year. And some minor things coming up this training camp as well. So that's kind of the question. They have those big, the teams that have those big explosive plays, I give them that extra boost to, because the teams that don't, they're not really feared that much. The Lions have those big explosive plays. So it's just about staying healthy and consistent down the stretch. Can I trust them down the stretch? 17 for them. 16 is going to be the Colts. First glance at the Colts, I want to put them pretty high up, and I consider 16 high. Because again, I've got offenses in the 20s that I think are good. But I want to put them really high up. Why? Because this running game could be absolutely dominant. One of the best in football. It could be absolutely dominant. I'm still more of a Marlon Mack guy, but Marlon Mack, Jonathan Taylor, they got Naheem Hines can be involved in the running and the passing games. In the passing game, offensive line's great. So this could be a dominant running game. It's just a passing league now. So how high does a dominant running game get you, and it's not really guaranteed to be a dominant running game either. I just think it will be. But how high does that get you? Will it open things up for the passing game? Phillip Rivers, better offensive line this year than with the Chargers. That's good. The playmakers, downfield, I don't think are as good. Can T.Y. Hilton stay healthy? Can a guy like Paris Campbell step up? Michael Pittman's he's good. He's kind of one-dimensional to me, but he can be his Mike Williams, Phillip Rivers, Mike Williams. My problem with Phillip Rivers is he takes too many chances sometimes. He just kind of risks too many things, and that creates the turnovers. But can the running game open things up for him there and kind of calm him down a little bit? Phillip Rivers being a veteran and potentially a future Hall of Famer, potentially a very good career. Usually these guys call their offenses. They call their own. I really don't want him to. I kind of want Reich to call this thing. Because Phillip Rivers will check out of the runs and he'll force things downfield. So some question marks there. The running game will be fun. Hopefully that opens things up for the passing game. If this was like 5 years ago, because of this running game, it'd be much higher in 16, but it could be interesting to watch. And then how will Phillip Rivers be first year? First year quarterbacks, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to adjust, I suppose. So how will that be? Things to watch for. 15, Pittsburgh Steelers, another team that's pretty tough. Last year I had them going into the year very high. People told me I was too high on them. Big Ben gets hurt right away, so that kind of blew that whole thing up. But I kind of still, I think 15 is a very good rank. I think it's a very good offense, can be a very good offense. Is Big Ben going to be the same? And can he stay healthy? And then you got the question of James Conner staying healthy. So there's a lot of question marks here, injury question marks. Big Ben coming off that crazy, interesting elbow surgery that no one's really came back from. So some question marks here, not really doubting, just some question marks with the health. Receiver unit, I like this receiver unit a lot. I don't know at any given time. Juju can be the dominant one. Deontay Johnson, James Washington with his downfield ability, Chase Claypool, Claypool and Ebron, those guys. I mean, I like that receiver unit. A lot of weapons there. I like that they added Anthony McFarland. That's the speed in the backfield that they needed. So this could be an offense that's very, very explosive if they're healthy through the stretch of the season. So that's kind of the question mark there. 14, going to be the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers are the ultimate I'm arguing with myself team. I am arguing with myself on where they will be. I literally am debating it's weird. I don't know if I've ever had anything like it. Why the Packers will be a great offense. Aaron Rodgers, he's Aaron Rodgers. I actually can see him playing better this year. Statistically wise, I'm not talking about stat wise. Will he play better? I don't know if the stats will be better. I don't really care if the stats are better or not. But statistically, you may say he was good last year. Yeah, he was good. But I think he can be better. A lot maybe goes into there was a first-year coach. Devontae Adams missed some games. He threw the ball away a ton. Maybe that has to do with the lack of weapons. I actually think he can play better this year. So that's scary. Devontae Adams, he missed some games last year. I think he can be fully healthy this year. That makes them better. So that makes me want to put the Packers up. Then I look at, the offensive line might be worse without Bulaga there at right tackle. They didn't really add to the receiver unit. It's going to be tough for them. And then Matt LaFleur. I'm not a scripted offense guy. Scripted offenses they scare me, and in first year was last year, second year, third year, they start to get figured out. So will Matt LaFleur kind of get exposed like he did in Tennessee at one point when he called the plays there? So it's just so much back and forth here in my own head. I put them at 14. I just don't know if you can put Rodgers any lower than that. I wish they added some more weapons in the receiving / tight end department that goes in the receiving department in the offseason. So it's probably another one of those teams that'll put up 30 or so points one week, and then there's one week where they got to rely on their defense, kind of like we saw last year. Just the debate in my head is, will they be better or the same or worse than last year offensively? I think the defense definitely gets better, but that's not this video. 13 is their NFC North rival, the Vikings. The Vikings got the playmakers for sure. They have one of those dominant top-tier running games. The play-action game might be one of the best in football. I think the key thing I'm looking at here is Kirk Cousins when he first came to the Vikings. Mediocre, decent at best. Last year was very solid, very solid. So the improvement in that year was ridiculous. Does he take another step up this year? I don't really know if he does. If he does, though, they're much better than 13 offense. That'll be scary, kind of, because they have the weapons there, I guess maybe staying healthy with Dalvin Cook's a key, but they have a really good running back room as it is. Madison, Boone, Abdullah. So they have the weapons. I think they have the right system in place for their players. They do get a bit conservative. I think down the stretch of the season they started to get predictable because of that. But they were a pretty explosive offense. Offensive line's kind of the question. That's really the only thing that's keeping them from the top 10 for me, even though statistically they were actually better than 10 last year. No Diggs. They do bring in Jefferson. I actually think they have more of a rotation this year, but it's a step down from Diggs to Jefferson year one. Another team that they have the playmakers. The quarterback can be improving. Offensive line's the question, which it looked good early last year. Then it really took the step down. 12 is going to be the Eagles. Another one. Health is a big concern with the Eagles, and I think consistency as well. Wentz looks like an elite quarterback one week. He looks kind of bad another week. There was in the middle chunk of the year last year, just missing routine throws, and then he goes on a tear making these wow plays, those big chunk plays, those explosive plays. I think they're an unpredictable offense. Great play calling, that's great. I think that's what separates them from the rest. Some of these teams have the talent, they have the big chunk plays, the explosive plays, and they're unpredictable. Offense line could take a hit. No Brandon Brooks, that's what I'm worried about. I'm not in love with their running game. It's not bad, but I wish they had a little more to. I think Miles Sanders needs a good duo. I think a healthy Jordan Howard was a pretty good. It almost felt like Howard was more of a key piece when they were winning early in the year. I think, explosive, unpredictable, but stay healthy. I like the Rager pickup. Hopefully Rager's good to go here. I think it's a good fit with Carson Wentz here, with this offense. They can get creative with him. It's about staying healthy here. It's really what it is. Number 11, I got the Niners. I got them in terms of statistically maybe dropping down a little bit. 11 still a good rank. I think very highly of them. I think very highly of the system and the play calling of Kyle Shanahan. Very unpredictable. I don't know if they'll be as good as last year. Maybe some teams can start to catch on. Pretty good running game. Another one, the health is an issue. You see Deebo Samuel's going to miss some time. In health, it's a concern at the receiver position as well, but also maybe the offensive line. They add Trent Williams. So right off the bat, you could say maybe their offensive line's better. Maybe at the left tackle position, they're a little better because Trent Williams, if he's healthy, it's been some time. If he's maybe the same, he's a very good left tackle. I am a little worried about the interior offensive line. This could be the main reason that maybe they're not far off, because a lot of other offenses are getting better, but not quite as good as last year statistically, because I worry a little bit with the interior offensive line. I think it took a hit this offseason. Jimmy G, I think, needs to step up. I think he needs to improve. He stays about the same. Teams will figure him out. He'll struggle a little more because he'll put the ball in the wrong spot sometimes, but still number 11. Still, I think the system is in the play calling, very good here. Number 10 is going to be the Falcons, an explosive offense. They'll have those explosive plays, and the offensive line gets better. Last 2 years been a little weak. They kind of retooled it last offseason. You couldn't expect too much right away. There was also injuries in there. I think it now is where you start to see it's not going to be spectacular or anything, but it's been pretty bad. It's going to take the step up. They had Todd Gurley. That actually could be an improvement there, in my opinion. Hopefully he stays healthy. I think he will. The receiver unit, I think Calvin Ridley gets better this year. They already have Julio Jones, obviously, a top-tier receiver. So I think they'll be, that explosive offense. And then adding Todd Gurley, I think it's perfect. He won't have too many carries, which will create wear because they like to air the ball downfield. And then they'll sneak in those runs to Todd Gurley, and that kind of pairs together pretty well because the guy could still run the ball really well. I think it's perfect fit here. So I got the Falcons inside the top 10. They have an extremely hard schedule. I think the hardest in football. So that's where I'm kind of like, I like the Falcons. I like the team. They're going to get better, but you look at the schedule. Ooh, it's so tough, and it's important there, obviously. Depending on who they play, obviously is important. Number 9, I have the Tennessee Titans. Arthur Smith, full-term play caller now. The Titans been playing, they've been going through offense coordinators changing every single year. Now they're kind of sitting pretty here. They got a guy locked in and a pretty good guy locked in. They were the problem for them before. They were kind of predictable, or they didn't use Derrick Henry enough, Arthur Smith kind of found that middle ground pretty good there. They're very unpredictable. They'll have that surprise. I like that a lot. They'll have that surprise, like play action bomb, that surprise attack that you're just not expecting with Tannehill. That's why I think Tannehill fits this offense so good. There'll be a dominant running game with Derrick Henry. They can use A.J. Brown in multiple different ways. It's an explosive offense, an unpredictable offense. They have that kind of unique sneak attack to their offense. I think it's a pretty good offensive line. The left side is extremely good. I just like that Arthur Smith is now full go. He knows he's settled in, and the Titans know finally they're settled in. So that's why I think they'll continue. I think at the end of the regular season, they were the number one offense in football. They were number one. Think about that. Down the stretch of the season, obviously I don't have them at number one, but we know what they can do, and that was kind of new to them too. Like now they're kind of settled in, so that's kind of the good thing with them. 8, I put the Cardinals. I think a unique offense. This is one of those nightmare game plan nightmares for defensive coordinators. You look at you don't know what's coming at you. First off, they're like the only team that runs 4 receiver sets or more. You look at the defense coordinators in the NFL. All old school guys. You wonder why it's an offensive league. You wonder why these new school offense coordinators, college offense coordinators, play callers, coaches, whatever, are taking over. It's because these old school defense coordinators don't know what the hell to do with it. They just don't know. Some teams will figure it out. They'll start to catch on. But Kyler Murray's an improving quarterback. That's a big playability guy with a perfect coach for his system. He's sitting in the perfect system. They got a set running back in Kenyon Drake. They got a great receiver unit leading the way, DeAndre Hopkins. Offensive line's the question. And Kyler Murray, I think highly of. He'll be great. He'll improve, but he'll still not a lot of them, but he'll still have those moments where. Yeah, he's still a prospect in a way. He'll have those bad moments. Again, offensive line, not terrible, but it's kind of on the weaker side. But a very explosive, unpredictable, very hard to game plan. Puts him at number 8 here, Arizona Cardinals. Number 7, Houston Texans. They lost DeAndre Hopkins, but I don't know if they necessarily got worse here. Think about it. Deshaun Watson is an improving quarterback, a very good improving quarterback every step of the way, maybe every week improving. Offensive line was kind of what was holding him back, not really anything else, kind of just offensive line. The offensive line got a lot better. It feels like they got their unit together now. They got Laramie Tunsil, one of the better tackles in football. Titus Howard, who was only a rookie last year. I like him a lot. The rookie from last year, Max Sharping, they have at guard. They're finally coming together as a unit. This offensive line will be much improved. And then the weapons, I don't know if it's really a prediction, but maybe I'm just banking on this. I think they were kind of playing it safe at Will Fuller. It was always kind of minor injuries, and he never was hurt at Notre Dame a lot. Nothing like that. I think that now I think the time is where they're going to go full go with him. They know he's kind of there. How important he was. You see the Texans offense with and without him. That's why they added Brandon Cooks. They are the same style of receivers. They got 2 of these guys in here, and they have the rotation actually got better. No DeAndre Hopkins, but the long list of receivers actually feels like it's better right now, and they all very much fit this Deshaun Watson offense. So I think the quarterback play gets better. Maybe not a crazy amount. I think the offensive line gets better, I think, by a good amount. Receiver unit, I can't really say it got better because you don't have DeAndre Hopkins, but it fits. It could be deadly. Running back, I think they got better. David Johnson, another one of those guys where I was trying to get people to calm down. People are too high on him, and now it's the opposite. Now people, I think, are too low on him. I think he'll fit this Texans offense very good. I don't think he'll get a crazy amount of carries, which is good. I think similar to what the Falcons would do with Todd Gurley, it'll kind of be limited, but there'll be a kind of a surprise attack. They're going to use Duke Johnson in the backfield as well. We'll see some 2 running back plays. I think it's going to be a very good offense. I think just decision-making, not really quarterback, which usually you think decision-making, you think of the quarterback. Sometimes. Watson can get a little crazy sometimes, but Bill O'Brien maybe some decision-making issues that we're worried about a little bit, but it'll be a very explosive offense. That's what I love. The big playability downfield. Texans got it. 6 going to be the Seattle Seahawks. Perfect system and game plan, but within the game, they can get a little conservative. That's my kind of only knock on them within the coaching department. Offensive line I don't like, so that's another knock on them, like actually on the field. But The game plan is they got the perfect pieces for it. Chris Carson. They're going to pound the football, tire this team out. They want physical football. Everyone's got to love that physical football. Wear that defense out. They want it to be, they want to be kicking the team's ass at halftime, honestly. But the game plan is they're okay if they're close at halftime. Then you unleash one of the best quarterbacks in football, Russell Wilson. Teams kind of know it's coming. Just one of those things where you just can't stop it. And they have the weapons at the receiver position. Tight end position, they do too. It's about staying healthy there. Chris Carson, I don't know if there's really an injury concern, but I do worry about that because he's the difference with and without Chris Carson. Pretty big difference. Chris Carson's one of the more underrated players in football. I love me some Chris Carson. The big running backs that can work in today's NFL, you got to be very talented to be able to look at Derrick Henry, Chris Carson. Not too many of them. But yeah, love the game plan system. Sometimes they wait a little too long to unleash Russell Wilson. It almost feels like they forget they have Russell Wilson. Again, offense line to worry about, but it's going to be a dominant offense. It's consistent. There's never going to be the weeks where some of these good offenses, they have the ability to maybe the bad part of them, they can score like 10 points one week. I don't think the Seahawks are really that. They'll have those weeks. Everyone does. They come in at 6. Number 5 is going to be the New Orleans Saints. Very complete offense. They have a top-tier talent, Michael Thomas. They have Alvin Kamara, who I love, especially because he can be involved in the passing game as well. And then you just got to stay healthy. That's the main thing. He was playing hurt last year. Offensive line, some changes. It's usually one of the better offensive lines, and I still expect it to be. But sometimes you see these changes that you can have like a little bit of an adjustment period or a hiccup moment through a part of the season. So something to keep an eye on. I expect it to be a very good offensive line still. Drew Brees, I expect it to be still playing at a very high level. They add Emmanuel Sanders. The question with him is staying healthy. It feels like he only plays a chunk of a season every single year. So what the Saints is, they're obviously top 5. They're a very dominant and I think consistent offense. If I had to pick something they're missing, and it's something kind of going, why do the Saints always get cut short in the playoffs? Why all of a sudden does their offense not look quite as explosive? And it kind of goes into their offense a bit, in general. They don't have a ton of explosive plays downfield, something I'm realizing, compared to a lot of other teams, even some teams that struggle. They're limited on their successful downfield plays, and I think once you get in the playoffs, teams start to figure that out, and you need some more of that. So why that is, I really don't know. And they have explosive plays for sure because they have some playmakers, but maybe that is that slight thing, that one thing that they can get to number 1 offense, which they very easily could be at any given time. Maybe that's that one little piece there. So they're at number 5. Number 4 is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only thing they're really lacking is a very good running game. They have a long list of running backs that can play. They're adding to that. I think Ronald Jones can step up this year. You just wish the running game was a little better just because what the running game is used for today is kind of to open up make the passing game easier, keep the defense on their toes. So that's kind of the only thing there. But Tom Brady out to prove something, a winning quarterback. I still think will play at a high level, and you look at his weapons. He's got his boy Gronkowski out there, but you got Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, perfect receivers for Tom Brady. Bruce Arians, leading the way here in his second year. The offensive line's improved, I think, by default with Tom Brady, but you add Tristan Wirfs. It's going to be an explosive playmaking offense here. It's kind of riding on, will they get the running game going? And they could. Like I said, Ronald Jones can step up. With Tom Brady, guys can step up, and that could be very, very scary here for the Buccaneers, potentially, like the Saints, potentially teams that could be a top number 1 offense in the league. 3 is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. Let me tell you, I was probably closer to putting, not that I was very close, but the Cowboys are closer to being number 1 offense than they were being number 4. I'm that locked in on this Cowboys offense, top 3. The only thing is, first-year head coach sometimes doesn't work out all that great, but it's definitely an improvement. You see how many situations the Cowboys were in where they have a game-winning drive on the line and they kind of blow the call on 3rd or 4th down. So many times. They were this close to having like 4 more wins, 5 more wins. It feels like every year. So they improved that with Mike McCarthy right off the bat. Dak Prescott still improving as a quarterback, so that kind of helps. You look at this receiver, maybe the best trio in football, adding CeeDee Lamb. I'm hearing some buzz from training camp. It's getting exciting. CeeDee Lamb was my number 1 receiver in the class. They're playing him in the slot a lot, which imagining CeeDee Lamb in the slot ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And then you got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup on the outside. This is an explosive offense. You got Zeke and Tony Pollard at running back. Pollard, remember, he can move around, do different things. He played receiver most of his young career, don't forget. This is an explosive, scary offense. It's going to be unpredictable with the new play calling, and because the pieces they have, I am very excited for this offense. Can Dak stay consistent? Can he show up in those big moments? A little bit of a question. I do like Dak Prescott, though, and I think he's out to prove something. He wants that big dollar. He wants that big money. So I got the Cowboys at 3. They are very close to being 1 or 2. They really are. I like the Cowboys offense that much. 2, got to go with the Ravens here. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Love the road. That's the first thing that stands out that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, the rotation. Bringing guys in and out. Look at that running back group. Mark Ingram, the new guy, J.K. Dobbins. You got Justice Hill. Justice Hill's a weapon. That guy can fly. And you have the Gus Bus too as well, Gus Edwards. And then you look at the receiver unit. Yeah, maybe there's no top tier takeover guy, compared to like the Cowboys, who I thought about putting at 2 here. But Hollywood Brown could be that good. He could be that good. Got to stay healthy. Some minor injuries pop up. I mean, you got Miles Boykin, you got Willie Snead, and they add plug and play rookies. They aren't like the top receiver rookies, but they got guys that fit this offense, and they're safe plug and plays. There's really no adjustment need to be made for those guys, Devin Duvernay and James Prochet. These guys that'll just be involved. You can get in the ball any way here. Duvernay, I think, will be more a factor than people think. And they have a good offense line. Something to keep an eye on. They don't have Marshall Yanda, who's a Pro Bowl level guard. DJ Fluker, I like the fit here for this offensive line, though. But they take a hit there. Lamar Jackson, explosive, dominant. He actually can improve as a passer. That's great. One of those, it's a game plan nightmare team. I mean, you kind of know what they're going to do, but how do you game plan? Do you have the pieces to actually game plan for it? Yeah, you can know what's coming, but can you stop it? That's kind of the question there with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But then you do see in the playoff, the Titans had a pretty good game plan for them. They did miss some plays that if they would have executed them, if it was a catch or Lamar Jackson didn't overthrow somebody by like a tiny bit, that they could have had another one of those normal weeks where they scored a ton of points and won the game. But again, the Titans were kind of the first team to have a very good game plan for them. Could teams, their second crack at this offense, or third crack, some division teams, or teams that watch the Titans film or just watch their film in general, could they start to figure it out? That's kind of the question. Again, kind of going back, you kind of can figure them out and game plan them, but that doesn't mean you can stop them. It's easier said than done. But there are probably some teams that will have the right game plan, and maybe some luck will be involved, but they will actually slow them down. So that's kind of the question. And let me reveal the Chiefs before I say what I want to say. Reveal the Chiefs. Reveal number 1 here. The Chiefs, obvious here. But in what I said at the beginning of the video, things just don't stay the same. It's hard not to stay the same here with the Chiefs and the Ravens, but things just, and that's why I love the NFL. Things change. Surprises happen. Everyone's wrong about something because some special team secret team just comes up and they're dominant. I believe in the Ravens. I was hyping up Lamar Jackson before he was at Louisville and the Ravens last year, but a lot of people didn't think that was happening. So it's tough keeping the same teams 1 and 2 for the most part here. But it's tough not because how dominant they are. Chiefs, they got the best player in football, the best quarterback, most important position, dominant player, explosive plays, very good play calling, unpredictable because but because you're on your toes. Like you're worried, okay, Mahomes going to air it behind me, Tyreek Hill's going to be behind me before I can blink, but they could just do something, a short Travis Kelce, 5 yards in the middle of the field, 10 yards in the middle of the field, they can dump it off. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they got better at running back. This is, again, I don't know if there's a more perfect fit in the draft than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is my running back 1 to the Chiefs. Maybe the best receiving right off the bat, the best receiving running back in football after McCaffrey, so second. Probably threw some people off there. That good in the backfield and downfield. Incredible vision, incredible moves, incredible strength. Maybe lacking that deep speed. The Chiefs, they're going to be fine with their deep speed, so that's all right. And Mahomes is getting better, starting to recognize defenses. I talked about it. You see him at some point last year where he started to check a lot more, check different plays at the line of scrimmage based on where the defense is aligned, and it always worked for the better. So this guy's improving. Offensive line's a little bit of a question. We got an opt-out in there from Duvernay Tardif, and they were beat up last year early in the year, and that kind of affected them. Playoffs, they were great. I'm not really too worried. They got some other pieces they're adding in there. Lucas Nang, a rookie, opted out. That's pretty tough there. But I'm not too worried. That's just the one thing to kind of, if you had to nitpick here, to look out for. I'm excited about Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this offense. Very, very excited. Maybe Mecole Hardman can take that next step up. Shouldn't really be a surprise. Chiefs, Ravens. I like the Cowboys. A lot. Scary team there. We'll do the same video for defenses, of course. Cannot wait for that. We got all kinds of rankings and predictions on the channel. More to come. Got to do my final season predictions. And then in season, all kinds of predictions, power ranking, everything. We got everything every week. So hopefully you can join us for that. Smash that like button if you enjoyed. Turn notifications on. Check us out on Twitter. It's a must follow if you like the NFL or the Goat House. Link down below. That's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.